my belief is about my connection to the energy. Call it God, call it Mother Nature. That connection. I live between 2, 3, 16,000 foot mountains. You know, that power, that energy that exists in Mother Nature and God, and it's all to me one and the same. But I seek that every day, even if it's just sitting outside. I don't have to do anything, just be. And this energy permeates my soul and permeates my body.
Welcome to the Consciousness of the Way. I am your humble servant and seafood Taoist Master San Qing, and I've been looking forward to this conversation, and I'm really excited to have this guest on the podcast today, basically a conscious creator, a leader in the mind and spiritual path. I would have to say I'm very grateful. I've already started appreciating the resonance that this incredible being has brought into the space. I want to welcome to the podcast Daniel Gutierrez. How are you,
Wonderful. I am wonderful, and thank you so much for inviting me to be part of your podcast.
Yes. This is where it's at in relation to conscious seekers, spiritual conscious seekers of some kind. This is the seed that always starts someone's version of their epiphany. When we have incredible conversations like the one we're going to have today, I would love you to just share just a little smidgen about yourself leading up to this point.
Wow. I've really have appreciated and enjoyed my life so far, because it's taken me to places that maybe I'm not so proud of, and some that I'm proud of, and that being said, I started out my life as a licensed Baptist minister at the age of 17. So we're going to start there because of the context of the show, and really seeking spirituality. What was, something that I was, what is life about? What is going on out there? And somehow found myself, preaching in the Baptist faith, only to do that for a while and then go, I think there's more to this. I'm going to go a different route. And so part of me was always seeking. I'm still seeking. That what you seek is causing you to seek, right? It's just like that juice out there that continually keeps me moving. And it took me through many different ways. I've been in the business world. I've helped build big companies. I've worked for 3 presidents, one American president and 2 Mexican presidents. I live right now. I'm sitting right now as we speak in the Andes of Peru. I sit in the middle of 3 mountains, and the energy that's just beaming off these mountains are just beaming into this space right now. And so I say that I'm so happy because Thursday is my 61st birthday. And thank you. And I feel alive, son. I feel alive. I feel like, not that I'm waiting for something, not that I'm expecting something, that something is birthing itself within this idea of aging, right? And I think about this idea of aging, and to me, it's a blessing. So I've written 6 books. I've been on TV. I've been on radio. I've had a blessed life. And so that's why I was so excited to talk to you, because it was like, when I get a chance to speak to another spirit being, who knows where that's going to go? Who knows, because it opens my mind, it opens my heart, it opens my soul to conversations that I'm not used to having on a daily basis.
Yeah, this is the stuff, the secret sauce that incredible desire that just does not leave you. It's that excitement that can really be the tip of the creation of all things. It really depends on how you enter that secret source because so many people they can't define it. And I think
Right.
that's so important about, starting with a belief system and acquiring a knowing from your own journey, from what that is. And then that really starts to percolate and grow this incredible realization that there is something greater out there. And, that truth that you and I are experiencing, that reverberation of the energies that we're oscillating in right now for our physical body, gives us that. And I think that it's without, and I think this is interesting, Daniel. I would love to hear what you have to say about this, because I'm not going to lie, I'm a priest. So guess what? There are a lot of people have turned this sort of belief or religious belief or idea of a path or a connection with God as being poo-pooey and
Right.
hooey, and all of a sudden this you're public enemy number one because that's passe. Come on, I'm spiritual. I just know. I just ask the universe and it all just happens for me. And I think that's a beautiful relationship that person has. But there are so many millions of people that are in this world today that believe in something that resides in a religion. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No.
I hear what you have to say about that.
No, I completely agree with that. I have to look back at the age of 17. Had I not believed in something, I would have believed in anything. And that gave me a basis of something, a base. So there was no free fall, So if there's no base, even if it turns out to be inconsistent with your own beliefs, it's still a base. So you're only falling so far down before you go, whoa, okay, let me check this out. Let me see what's happening here. And I think that's the blessing in that is that I had a base. And even if I didn't completely believe it the way I do today or the way I did back then, it was still a base. And it allowed me a place to start and to examine my own beliefs, my own spirituality, my own connection to, we call here Pachamama. Pachamama is Mother Nature. Pachamama is what the Andean people believe in. They believe in the connection to Mother Earth. And there has to be a base somewhere. And I think when you have something, then you can build on that, right? It's like a building block. From there, you just build and you go your own way. And there's no right or wrong. It's just what is.
Yeah. I would have to agree with you 1,000,000%. But there's definitely an attack of a lot of my dear friends that are pastors, priests. They're involved with some form of religion. Mm-hmm. They examine and have a very clear message from their connection with God that there's a spiritual war going on. Mm. There's something going on where people's are being commandeered by their attention, and it's not of the highest resonance. And I would have to agree, it comes in all forms. And maybe it's the birth of the interweb. I don't know, but the idea that people have, endless access to information can definitely persuade them to steer off their path. And that's how I'm.
Yeah, I think again, I think from the beginning of all time we've been distracted. From the beginning of time, there was an apple, I guess. If we look at that story, we've been distracted. So I think we just in our world today, what we see, what those faiths may see as negative energy or distracting energy, I think has always been there. It's just I think more dense than it has been before, and discernment becomes something very important.
Yeah. I think the belief system. Maybe we're getting a crossover with an echo. Are you okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I don't hear an echo on this side.
Yeah. There's a little bit of an echo. I don't know what that was, but yeah, the this idea now that a belief system is a mistake. I'm like, well,
Mm.
you should hear the wording. And I'm like, hang on a second. It's got to start somewhere. Everyone has to
Yeah.
start this path somewhere. They, not everyone, not from over 32 years of doing this myself. There hasn't been, I can't count on both hands every person I've ever interacted with as being evolved spiritually in 5 seconds. I just woke up and went, I found it. That's the answer. But a lot of people are sort of starting to move in that direction because, well, I've got this spiritual path. I had this paranormal, supernatural experience, and now I have the answer, so I don't need anything. And I think a lot of people end up getting lost that way. And when it comes to energetics, which everything is energy, you tend to find that people spend their energy in the wrong places, and all of a sudden they're spent, and people can't understand how that's possible. Well, part of Taoism is this alchemical path of realization to cultivate this physical body so you can maintain your path in this lifetime to its highest state for a longer period of time. So nourishing that physical form is very, very beneficial to the seeker and to the knower. Do you have a specific? Do you normally share with people a certain way that they can take care of their vehicle through their journey of awareness?
My belief is, having studied quite a bit, I think there was a point in my life where I felt like we have all these different beliefs and religions. And so I took 13 books, 13 different ways of life, Buddhism, everything. And I read them all for 1 year equally, just like this, every day. I read all 13 books, even if it was 5 minutes, 6, 10 minutes, only to come to realize, okay, nobody's right. and everybody's right, right? Nobody's right and everybody's right. And for me, my belief is about my connection to the energy, call it God, call it Mother Nature. That connection, I live between 2, 3, 16,000 foot mountains. That power, that energy that exists in Mother Nature and God, and it's all, to me, one and the same. But I seek that every day, even if it's just sitting outside. I don't have to do anything, just be. And this energy permeates my soul and permeates my body. And my belief, after studying, and when I was a minister, I had to study Hebrew and Greek and the Bible and forward and backwards and all that good stuff, right? And the funny thing is, I always thought to myself, well, I don't even know why I spent so much time doing that, but I still quote from there. I still have the knowledge from there. And that's what makes it beautiful, is when all of a sudden, boom, this quote comes up and I know where it comes from, right? And it's a beautiful thing because it's just wisdom. It's wisdom, right? And that wisdom that comes from our ancestors, and it comes from our moving forward as well, and in the present moment, is powerful. And so I encourage people, when they come here to Catalina, here in the Andes of Peru, to connect with nature. I don't need to say anything, I tell them. I don't need to say anything to you. And they go, but that's what I came here to learn from you. I said, and I learned from the mountains. And I learned from the energy, and I learned from everything around me, the birds, the dogs, the llamas, the alpacas, and whatever it is. And so for me, it's about energy. You said that we're energy. And when we can learn, when I really learned energy well, my son used to watch Airbenders, the cartoon Airbenders. And I started watching it with him, and I thought, wow, this is a profound cartoon. This is a profound show, because it was just showing us how we use energy, right? This is something you're a master at, moving that energy. And in my own little novice way, I do it because I know that it's possible. It's possible, right? So I know I said a lot and I said nothing at the same time, because for me, there's no definition. I remember once Oprah was interviewing somebody, and she said, "What's the definition of God?" And the answer was, I don't know who she was interviewing. If you have to ask, you don't know. Right? So that's kind of where I'm at, with my beliefs, and this is why I get excited when I get a chance to spend time with someone like yourself that forces me into realms that I may not, or not even forces me, opens the opportunity for me to spend some time in an energy that I don't get to spend all the time.
Yeah, I mean, the quite frankly, the juice coming from just our connection right now is pretty potent.
Yeah.
Whatever you're aligning with, my friend, is burning my eyebrows. So, it's a resonance.
Right.
And I think that, when people understand that, and like you said, there's a process, and there is a process, and there isn't a process. I feel that you need to start with a baseline and start to then acquire a deeper, because there are physical traits that you may literally jump on WebMD and consider you're having like a stroke,
right,
an aneurysm, something like that, and they're actually part of the energetic potential that's being evoked within your physical body. And I've got dear friends that are Buddhist monks that are not interested in that, so they call that the dukkha, which is distortion, and they're not interested. I'm sitting on, like that song, I'm sitting on the top of the bay. Yeah. All I want to do is sit there and just be part of the now moment. And they're not interested in the energetic potential. They're not interested in, a deeper understanding of it. And actually, one of my friends moves away from it. He doesn't like it. He doesn't like the feeling. It's like, I want nothing. I just want complete emptiness. And I think it's all valuable to the seeker, all valuable to the knower, or whoever the individual is. It's for them to decide what that is.
Right.
And that's why I just love going to, wherever I travel, I want to go to a place of worship. If it's a church, a mosque, a temple, whatever it is, I want to be able to go and enjoy what is part of the local ritual, and, embody that. It's just so powerful when people connect. And this whole, I just keep hearing it more and more. A lot of the new age spiritual people are, I've got the Akashic records and the halls of Mente, and Thoth is talking to me. And I think that's all fantastic. But, again, when you say tomato, I say tomato. But, it's like there's so much rich history. And as you said really, really well, was the wisdom that comes from the seekers before us. And so, the stuff I teach people is, questionably, possibly hundreds of thousands of years old. And, a lot of people will go, well, the timeline is only 6,000 BC. Well, we can split hairs here. I mean, It's so rich. It's so powerful. You have this visceral connection with the scripture. Whatever your scripture is, people align with it, whether it's the Bible, whether it's the Quran, whatever it is, they go there. And, it means something to them.
Right. Right. I love that. You reminded me, here in the Andes, there is a mountain called Coyuriti. Coyuriti sits at 17,200 feet. Wow. Every year, 150,000 indigenous people get together. And it's not something they invite tourists. It's something they've been doing since before the Incas. They get together and you walk to this mountain. So 16,500 feet. My first year I went, I spent the night below zero. But because of the energy of the people and here you have a mixture of the Catholic faith and the indigenous people of Peru saying, let's just put that aside and enjoy celebration for 3 days. And they sing and they dance for 3 or 4 days without stopping, 24/7. And then on one day, all of a sudden, out of the nowhere, a big full moon pops up in the valley and lights up the whole valley, and it's a beautiful experience. And I guess what you were saying about being able to experience a church, a mosque, whatever it is, without feeling threatened. It's not a threat. It is an experience to enrich one's soul and maybe open their mind to something different, right? And so I've gone 2 years in a row. This year, my third year, and it's not an easy trek, and it's not fun, and it is cold and dusty and everything else. But to be able to sit in that energy, and in our world today, where you have big cities, skyscrapers, war, and be so removed from that, it's just an absolute incredible experience. And when you said, being able to sit, doesn't matter where it's a church, it's Catholic, it's Baptist, it's a Buddhist, it's whatever. I think that being able to just accept that no one's asking you to do anything. It's just about experiencing.
Right. I mean, it literally is the most important thing. It's like, this is truly, if that faith, if that religion truly is about the connection with God, no matter what it is, then you will welcome shelter for anybody that is seeking to experience that connection. I mean, I always tell people, if you're going to a church and your pastor, your priest, is not giving you a profound message of realization for your own direction and helping you become closer and closer with your own direct connection with God, then potentially you should shop for another church, potentially. Yeah. I mean, that's really the purpose of that relationship, that sacred Sunday ritual, is to connect, is to embody that relationship and that direct breath of God. And if you're not doing it, you're kind of doing it as a grind, or it's a commitment to a family like history, that's fine. But if you do it for 40 years and you still doing it because it's Sunday, and before I mow the lawns, I got to go to church, I still, even someone that would dismiss that, I would say you're effectively embodying whatever that relationship is. It was never wasted. Never wasted is that time for yourself, for your own cultivation, your own understanding, and it could be just this little bit or a lot. It's all valuable to you. It's not valuable to me. It's not valuable to Daniel. It's their path.
Right. Beautiful.
And so when you go to help and teach and do all these incredible things. So, I mean, you've had such a rich life and career, doing things like working with the President of the United States of America would probably have to be on the top of that list. I don't know. I'm not telling you what your pinnacles are, but holy moly, that's something else. What was that experience like?
Sometimes I'll share in a minute. Sometimes I find myself, or I have found myself, almost like shaking my head and going, am I here? Am I really here? Is this really happening? I was an advisor to the Department of White House personnel for President Obama for 8 years. And I know President Biden. I met him in the White House. And for the reason I'm here in Peru, the reason I'm here right now sitting in the Andes of Peru, is because I got to a place in my last book I wrote. I remember waking up kind of out of a fog, maybe many years. I'm sitting in a plush restaurant in New York City on Fifth Avenue. I've got my, custom-made $2,000 suit and shoes and the whole 9 yards. and I'm sitting next to some famous people, and it's one of those days in New York City where it was snowing. It was like out of A Wonderful Life, the movie. You know, it was beautiful, and you know, I'm looking out the window, and I'm staring at myself through the window, and I see a tear coming down my eye, and I question, well, what's that all about? And then I heard a voice say, "And what values did you sell to be where you're at?" Right. That's the Baptist boy, 17 years old, coming, you know, and biting me in the back and going, "Hey, that's not what you started like." And in that moment, son, I realized that maybe all of the wonderful things I had done, and I don't regret them, and it's made me the man I am today with the experiences I have today to be able to do the things I do today. But maybe it was just checking a box. Maybe society had said to me after I left the ministry that if you do these things, you'll be successful. And all of a sudden I was sitting there at the pinnacle of my career going, but I don't feel that way. And in that moment, I decided to let it all go. I said, I'm done. And that's when I started getting back into connecting with myself, because I think once you've, at least for me, once you've had the taste of connection and spirituality, it doesn't go away. It doesn't go away. It continues to seek itself to express itself. Even if you ignore it, it wants to express itself, that connection with God, that connection with spirit, that connection with life. And in that moment, and so when you asked that, I thought for a minute I was going to tell you how great it was. And I thought, but really the truth is that it was a check box, because it was the next thing for me to do. And I did it, but it was the last thing that I did in that space, considering that I moved here to Peru 5 years ago and said, I think I want something different, because I truly believed back then, 5 years ago, that I wouldn't have lived very long. I would have had a stroke, a heart attack, something, because I wasn't connected to myself. I wasn't in my body. I was just checking the boxes and doing what everyone tells me to do. So now I'm here in this beautiful space where, you know, I get to walk outside and I see beautiful mountains and I go, wow, I might live to be 80 or 90. I think that's possible. Before it was like, okay, I think in the next plane I get on, it might be done. Right. So my answer to you is kind of double-fold. It was wonderful to be able to come from such humble beginnings in Midlothian, Texas, to being an author, doing all the things that I've done, and then to be able to say, that's why when we talked about my bio, I'm not impressed. My good teacher used to say to me when I go, guess who I met today? Oh, don't be so impressed. And then I'd come to, oh my gosh, I'm hurting. Don't be so impressed. That's what she used to tell me. I hated it because she was just saying, it's all right, but don't let it stir you up. Don't let it take you away from being present in the moment, right? So although I am grateful for those experiences, I'm also grateful for my life today, and that it gives me the opportunity and the space to be able to have conversations like this, you know, and say, yeah, I can look back and say that was a time in my life. But what's important, I think, today, and what I wish our society and our humanity would focus on, is what's important now. What's important in this space.
Yeah. I mean, really the part of the Taoist seeking is realizing that you have this path as a human being to identify what we call the mother, which is the Tao, and to access that as having a realization that everything basically in this reality is summed up as a bellows, and everything is contracting and expanding at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So that dance between the polarizing effects of yin and yang, come to that realization that you are all things and nothing at the same time. Accessing what we call the mother, the primordial mother, is the Wu Ji, the stillness between the breath in and the breath out. And then when you acquire that, oh yes, it will be yours. Oh yes, it will. And that's great. is like, just like that feeling that you're having right now, that embodied potential is that visceral feeling, that realization, and it comes from here.
Right.
And you really, the truth is that could be identified from someone who might be hijacked with their emotional state to believe it is some type of physical limitation. But in actuality, it's a moment of liberation where that released, that mental, emotional stuff from a Taoist path gets stored within the human body. And you have the ability to unravel that and not let it distract you from that knowing. And that's where the energetic potential comes in. That's where you can really regulate the universe that you are an expression of. As everything sort of is always dancing in that as a journey, as a seeker, that yin and yang is all things. But it's not good or bad. It's just yin and yang. And so when you identify with that, all of a sudden, the depth or fear diminishes. It's no longer hijacking your attention, and you're now able to truly be that present moment, which is what we call Wu Wei. And Wu Wei is effortless action, effortless effort. I mean, I think that became very popular, the flow, from Bruce Lee's last interview back in 1973 when he talked about that. And, everyone's like, what is this word, consciousness and flow? You go from the 60s where the Beatles are attempting to create something outside of a miracle within the music industry using, mind-altering drugs that I can teach someone to have a DMT experience for 3 days straight or a lifetime if you choose to. I mean, everything I look at with potential because of the way that we cultivate energy, it looks like have you ever seen the movie Predator?
Uh-huh.
Basically, with my eyes open, that's how reality is. It's like a thermal expression. And so unless you have the potential to understand that, the energetic potential, if you stumble across this sensory perception, you could potentially think you're having a psychotic episode. And you can validate it, because that self-realization is the most important thing. That validation, I always tell people, your truth is the only truth you need to be concerned with. And not my truth, not Daniel's truth, your truth. And so with that, then you can find what you call the absolute truth, because it's your truth. And so, but some people get a little squealy about that, because they're like, hang on, you're empowering someone to believe in themselves, to know that. Yeah. I'm sorry. Is that a crime? In some, this day and age, as you said, with World War and all this weird things that are going on, the potential that people don't have the right to believe, to know what they know, is kind of a little disturbing for me when you look around and realize that there are people out there that are attempting to tell you that's not possible, and it all starts with the interweb. So the interweb is no longer, a place of discovery. It's now a place of, monitoring to some massive degree. So, you're being monitored all the time in one way, shape, or form, which then leads you to being censored on what you can, be exposed to, right down to scripture. Taoism has like thousands, we call it the Taoist canons, and there are thousands of volumes of information stretching across thousands of years. But quite frankly, the stuff that I teach goes well beyond the seed of, the Yellow Emperor's relationship with the universe, where he was pinned to the earth for 18 days and nights and downloaded the Chinese culture as we know it. And the infrastructure of that starts with the seed of Taoist alchemy, the energetics. Then Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, is created from Taoist alchemy. And so that you are familiar with within Chinese culture, right down to the way that they live, breathe, eat, all started from that seed of the Yellow Emperor's download. And I mean, I guess it's how people sit. Like, that's the highest level of intervention for a Taoist, is channeling your direct source with the mother. And I mean, this comes down to someone's direct relationship with God. Get a Bible and, be surprised at how much you become emotional, how connected you become with whatever that source is, and go, whoa, I don't know what this is, but every time I pick it up, I just feel like so in tune with humanity. And I think that's something that that resonance needs to continue to rise within the humanity journey today on planet Earth. There's that effect, right, with all the horrible death and destruction that's taken place with human beings. They're diabolical. If they're left alone to their own devices and they lose their way, then you have human history that reminds you that the biggest megalomaniacs are the ones that lost their way. They lost their way. Yeah. What do you think? What are your thoughts on
that? Several times in our conversation, a word has come up that keeps resonating with me, and that's the word hijacked.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a hijacked world. And whether it be the web or people out there that quite honestly just don't know what they're talking about, I think that going back to the very first part of our conversation, if you don't have a base to believe in something, then you're going to get hijacked. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that, because you're going to be like a seed in the wind. This way, this way, this way. So I love what you're saying, because the belief, understanding, the seeking of something creates a base that, I'm not saying you can't get hijacked, but it's surely going to be a lot harder if you have this, I don't know about that, that you ask that question within yourselves and ourselves. So I think that, I love the belief or the idea of picking up whatever it is that you decide to read and connecting with humanity, because you know what that feels like. When you read or you connect with those words, because I'm an author, I get it. When you connect with something that's been written that goes, ooh, I is that. I is that. I get that. And so it's just beautiful. It's beautiful, and we were definitely in a space in our world today where we need more grounding, whatever that is. Whatever that is for everyone, but more teachers that are less committed to their ego and more committed to the greater good of all, right? Without ego, without needing to feel that if you don't put a like on my Facebook page, then I don't like you.
My dear friend, this brings me to the conflict that I've had with social media. I've probably been on social media maybe a year now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I've done hundreds of podcasts. I'm immersed in it. I love it. It's about opening. My teachers just open the space, and people come. What's the old expression? If you build it, they will come.
They will come. Yeah.
The point of it, it's like, it's such an amazing thing. And I had a similar conflict myself, getting into this space, because I've helped thousands of people over the years, over the decades, but I want to help millions. And, I got to a point where, I'm an advisor to many people. I guess you call it most people would call it a spiritual advisor, a guru, whatever you want to call it. And I had that epiphany, just like the one you did. I'm sitting on a plane with one of my students, client, whatever you want to call it. And I'm just like, I'm on a plane to New York City. This person is paying me a 7-figure salary for 48 hours of my time. What am I doing? What is going on here? There needs to be some answers. And, I directly, because I've been channeling directly for probably 30 years. And I asked my teacher, Latsu, I'm like, how did I get here, and why am I still here? I always listen. instantly I will listen. If they say, go right, go left, I follow. And they've repeated this, and I have a knowing through 30 years of validation of the truth, my truth. And so what's going on? Well, it's taken you this amount of time to realize that this is of no value. And when you realize there's no value in what you're doing, then you move to the next thing that expands you again, not contracts you.
Right.
I'm like, okay. And what is that? Well, we need to reach millions. And so it's like, okay, that's my mission. I want to, and my ultimate goal is to at least open 9 Taoist schools and 9 Taoist temples in 9 different states. And, it's okay. I got it. Get out there and help people, because you'll find the strangest people resonate with the simplicity of knowing. And I feel like Taoism is very, very similar to Gnosticism. I don't know whether you've ever heard of Gnosticism, but it's just a knowing, a connection with within Gnosticism. It would be God, Christ consciousness, Jesus. There are different layers to that, and what that means to the individual, but it's more of coming to the realization yourself, which honestly, I think all religion is really about that. And then you might get, as we use this word, hijacked by a realm of man manipulator that takes the scripture and then contorts it to for their own benefit. So their flock, their congregation becomes more, manipulated, rather than being reminded that they are the center point. That's the Vesica point is here. The middle, what we call Wu Ji, which is the between the breath in and the breath out, is that center point. And when that's realized, all bets are off. And I think that's where some people go, oh, organized religion. Oh, you're a priest. Oh, okay.
That's right.
And I'm like, hang on a second. I'm here to help you find yourself. All I'm here to do is to raise a resonance that you identify with, and then teach you how to raise your own resonance and maintain it. I think when it comes to energetics, the simplicity of it is this. If you go down a physics path of understanding what is the nature of reality, and some of my dear friends are physicists, and they have their what they call their theory of reality. My big my theory of reality, right? And so it would come in the form of a light to wave to matter to particle, realized by your attention intention, forming the distortion that we call the 3D. Through that, you're changing how you perceive things, because within Taoism, this is perfection, and you're cutting that cloth, so everything has energetic potentials, now energy. And from that energy, that charge that you got right now up your spine, going, whoa, that's and it's like just another, for me, it's another a sensory perception where I've just developed a skill where I can see it, and then if I choose to feel it, I feel it. And these are just potential developmental skills that anyone can acquire if they're given the blueprint. And that's why Taoism is so cool, because I think it's cool. Yes, I'm a fanboy. Hang on a second, I'm a Taoist priest. Yeah. In any case, it's cool because you can get a more of a clear insight for your own benefit of understanding, and then realize that you really are the main goal is the selflessness, selflessness and the servitude. When you come to that realization, and a lot of my students, they start off with, oh, well, Jeff, I wanted to do all those stuff like the levitating and the healing and, seeing all the miracles. And I'm like, this is really great. It's all part of it. That's a side effect of your journey, my friend. But realize that the journey will continue, and you are here to serve. And they're like, whoa, I was, that they would probably mention something like what your son watches, Airbenders. It's like, I want my internal alchemy. And I'm like, look, I teach you all that stuff, but servitude is the thing. And they're like, what happens is the more and more you embody and raise your resonance, you become selfless. That moment where I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, I'm a master void of time and space. That is it. That present moment is it. That's it. Where you just realize it's like people are like, well, how are you doing today? And I'm like, it's good to be me. Because of the simplicity of understanding that that present moment is all we have. But what happens is there isn't a single person on the face of the earth you can't go, give me a moment where you help someone. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. You know, there was someone in need. And that's that attuning to empathy. That's attuning to that human, you know, humanity's frequency, humanity's resonance. And then I go, so what did you do when you did that? I don't know. I didn't think about it. I just did it. Oh, now we're talking. You did it. Really? Tell me more about that. Yeah. I don't know. It came over me. I didn't, it was just there. It was just the present moment. And so now it's the ability to remember and bring that person back to remembering every day and remembering, you know, you and I, you're remembering every second. You're living it, you're moving into it, you're living it.
Right.
A lot of people get caught up in what they might call the rat race, life. Things are difficult, things are hard, things are, you know, I always tell people it's like glass half empty, half full. How do you see your reality? It doesn't get any easier than that. Is it half empty or half full? And that will determine what you create in your own reality is going to be gravitating to something or being drawn away from it. And that selflessness is the key. And then when they realized that, and I said, what happens when you're selfless? I don't know. Well, in reality, the mirroring effects of this polarizing duality is there's the positive and negative, you could call it. So when you give with endowerism, your gift is your offering. Oh, wow. That means that if you give, you receive. Oh, sign me up, Jiffu, sign me up for the selflessness, the servitude. That's what it comes down to. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? How was that?
I think that what you just described and so beautifully is an opportunity for humanity to be human. That space where I don't know, I just did it because it's in you. But we fight that. We fight that. We actually go out of our way to do the opposite of what our instincts tell us to do. And that's why I think that we're stuck in this space in our world where you walk over a dead person in New York City or you know, because they're in the way. Where's the humanity in that? I can promise you, I don't care who it is. And in their soul of souls, they're hurting. I know I couldn't do that. But I have to believe that in our polarized world, that need for servanthood, which is instilled within our humanity, is still there. We just have hidden that. We've decided to believe the jokesters and those people that make us believe that we don't have the human condition, that doesn't exist anymore. But which is what I was hearing you say, is that when we connect with that, wow, there's the magic. Actually, you know, here in Peru, moving here has done so much for me, because it's almost like going back in time. I mean, way back in time. They have a word here called Aini. A-N-I, Aini. Aini is me today, you tomorrow. And what happens here, but when I came here from the United States, I was pretty cold. Even though I have my spiritual side, I had that wall there. Don't mess with me. You know, I work between LA and New York. I don't have time for you. Don't look at me. Don't get in my way. You know, everything. You know, and my belief at the time I was single, I'm married now, but I was single, was I don't need you. Right? In the States, it seems like I don't need you. I don't need you. I can do this on my own. And yet when I got here, I saw something that brought me back to that 17-year-old boy who was connected to God in that special way, that said, but we're here to be in communion with each other, not to be separated, right? And so going back to what you said about connecting to, that need to serve, here the word is I need, me today, you tomorrow. So here, when someone's planting the field, and they're doing it right now, right outside my house, when they're planting the field, the whole community comes and plants the field. That's servanthood. And when someone dies, everyone goes to the funeral. That's servanthood. And when someone gets married, everyone goes and celebrates. That's servanthood. And there's that sense of connection and humanity that I think that many places in our world is completely lost. Right. And what you were saying a few minutes ago made me, I even felt that within my body come up, when you said, when you serve, why did you do it? It reminds me of so many times where I had the opportunity to save someone's life because they jumped in the water and they were drowning or whatever. I didn't think about it. I didn't have to think about it, because that's the goodness within us. That's the goodness that I believe exists in everybody. Even the worst of the worst feeds a small dog on the street if given the opportunity, right? And so I think what you said was just beautifully said. I think that in that sense, going back to the word that seems to keep coming back, that's where we're hijacked. Our humanity has been hijacked. And we've been told that all these things are more important than our own connection to our humanity, which what you said was beautiful, and that was servanthood. Because when we serve, we feel good. That's why there's charity, right? I guess that's our modern day charity. I feel better when I give. Of course you do. And that's part of that beautiful connection of humanness. And that's why here, I just thinking back of how vain I was in so many different ways about my clothes, about what I bought. I remember once sitting out here with a bunch of people, locals, indigenous people, in plastic chairs and on little stumps of wood, whatever we could find to sit on. And in my head, I started laughing out loud, and they go, "What are you laughing at?" I didn't tell them. But what I was thinking was, not just too long ago, I would have been upset if I wasn't in an Eddie Bauer chair. I wasn't comfortable in something that I felt I was worthy of sitting in, which was ridiculous. This is why I love this conversation so much, because it's making me reflect back, to where I am today, and in this space where if there's anything that those of you that are watching would love to entertain, go serve. And I don't mean give your money. I mean it from your heart. Feed a dog, feed a homeless person, smile. We're not talking about, you got to break the bank. This is servanthood, right? This is servanthood. And I love that.
Yeah. I mean, just saying hello, asking
someone, look in the eyes.
Right. And I think that's lost. There's this disconnect. If you go into any sort of communal scenario, which would be a restaurant, not happening at all. That it used to be a place to create and bond and, have a really powerful conversation, or something that relates to someone else by just that embodiment. And, you sit in a restaurant these days and everyone's doing this.
That's right.
And it's no longer, you're being separated even more from who you are, even more, being more removed from it. And this is the very hijacking that we've been talking about this whole time, is like this need to be away. And I mean, dinner, the old idea of, everyone's doing all these weird things these days where they don't come together for a Sunday dinner or an evening dinner as a family. Oh no, I'm fasting today, and I'm not doing this. I'm not there. It's like, and no longer do people sit at the kitchen table, and come together and be grateful and just be present. Something as simple as that is so powerful, and people have lost sight of that. People have lost sight of the value that comes with that relationship and that bonding.
Yes. Well, I tell you what, you want to freak someone out, go to a grocery store
Mm-hmm.
and be checking out, and all of them have their name. And say, "Oh, thank you, Barbara. Oh, how'd you know my name? You're wearing it."
Right.
Because they're not used to hearing it. They're not used to hearing it. They're not used to connecting that way. It's just blah, 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 boom, boom, boom. Right? I do that and freak people out all the time. "Hey, how's it going? How'd you know my name? It's on your shirt."
You know, you go to a grocery store. That's a great example. And I'll be buying groceries for myself and my family, and you know, you could see the pain of that individual, really just very, very unhappy with their reality. And then all of a sudden you turn around and you just give them a couple of $100 and they go, what are you doing?
What do you want?
That's part of my journey. It's possible, so I don't even think about it. I'm not looking for anything. Here it is. And they just start sobbing and crying, and
Yeah.
whole life is over, because it's part of what you're talking about, that material connection that they've now lost complete connection with their humanity. So now they've lost connection with themselves. They've lost connection with humanity. They don't have any sight. They gave up on God because their life sucks. And then something like that turns them into a believer again. And so when people will ask me, well, why would you do that? To remind you that hope is real, that
right,
that's all it takes. And yes, I'm cheating a little bit because I do that psychic stuff and read into the person's story, and
of course,
it just helps. It's like, I would rather help someone who's a person who's homeless and in need, that's caught in this downhill spiral of drugs and alcohol, whatever it is that they're doing, and realize that I'll give you resources to find shelter, to find food, to find something, to help with your struggles, because it's not working. You are submitting to something that makes you believe there is no hope, there is no purpose in your existence. And the more you submit to whatever this is, the faster you will be relieved of your body, the faster you will just be no longer of this earth.
Right.
Separation. It's like, so is it handing them $5 or giving them a hand of truly helping them change their life? But in most cases, a lot of those people they don't want help.
Right.
Right. They're there for a reason. They want to be there. They want to be in that cycle, and they've never.
It serves them. Yeah.
Right. And it's a tough one when you're on this path, and when you first start out. And I'm pretty sure you had that experience as a young man, being part of the church and getting involved with all this stuff, that you want to help everyone.
Yeah.
And there's that doesn't change my path. Yet I also am aware that it's not for me to decide what that person's path is. And so if they choose to not accept my help, I'm completely okay with that. It's like a lot of people tend to get into that space, and then they want to override someone else's free will. It's your decision what you want to do with your reality.
Right. I think that's beautifully said. And I think that my only responsibility, if I want to call it that, is to act on my own human instinct, regardless of how they react. Right. Just, I'm going to do my part. They don't want to accept it. Good for you. You want to accept it. Good for you. This is just, I think if we came from that space more often, then well, what am I going to get out of it? Nothing.
It might have funny for how many people come to me if it's some type of a spiritual gathering, and they go, well, look, I've got this problem. I need this friend needs help, and I can give them the money, but I don't know. What do you think? I'm like, don't do it.
Right.
What are you talking about? Because you're thinking.
Right.
You're thinking about, you're truly attempting to, within Taoism, we have this verse that says, when you act in virtue, you have none.
Mm.
And it's like, that's truly the essence of what that is. It's turned into a business where there's a transaction, where you're attempting to decide, what are you going to get out of this? Instead of that selflessness, the servitude that we've spoken of earlier, you don't have to think about anything, and just, it's there. It's right this present moment. And so when people are conflicted like that, I always say, well, don't do it. I mean, you're in the business of acquiring a favor. You're looking at, what are you going to get out of this situation? What is going to be the benefit for you to do this? And that's not the true essence of the present moment. That's not the true essence of what we're speaking of. And you don't have to ever process it. It just happens. And the more and more of that. So now you're out there. You've been out there 5 years. What draws you? Do you still travel back to America? Or do you?
I do. I do come back. I haven't been back for a couple of years. I have a 21-year-old son in Los Angeles, and he keeps saying, "Dad, when you coming home?" I said, "I am home. I am home, son." Yeah, I kind of withdrew here to, for lack of a better term, lick my wounds, grow a little bit, get back into my own skin, and ready now to. I had a very beautiful speaking career when I was in the U.S. also, so I got a chance to speak all over the world actually, and I'm writing a book now called "The Audacity of Courage." I hope to finish it this year, and I think I'll come back and teach again. And the whole idea of just having I love what you said a few minutes ago. Hope is real. Hope is real. It really is real. It is real. Hope is real. And when I think about my journey here, I didn't even know you could do this. When I made the decision to move here, I was guided by spirit to say, take nothing with you, not your pictures, not your past, not your nothing you will take with you except what you need, your luggage. So I came with 2 pieces of luggage, 3 pieces of luggage. That's it. And I gave away, sold, or shred everything. So baby pictures, high school, everything. My entire past was shred. I didn't even know you could do that. I hired a truck. It came over. I think part of the experience I didn't know you could. Yeah, they put it in this truck, and then I hear and there it's gone. Everything, and I didn't know whether to cry, yell, laugh, because it was like, how did I do that? But it was beautiful. Because this is again going back to the bio, that's why I don't put a lot of weight into it, is what I needed to become could not be tethered to the past, no matter how beautiful it was, no matter how the accolades were, no matter how connected it was to the beautiful things that I did. That I got here right when the pandemic hit. So here in Peru, we were under martial law here in the Valley. And so this is something I never experienced before. And all of a sudden I'm here by myself, and none of my workers can come to work. And I'm in this huge place by myself and have no idea what to do with myself, So it was a beautiful time. And that's why I love what you said about hope is real, because it is real. It is real. And I think that is the one thing that humanity can hang on to if they choose to. It's the one thing they can hang on to if they choose to, that this too shall pass, and whether myself and I choose to grow from this is up to me. And that's what this book's about. The audacity of courage is I moved out here at 55 thinking Oh man, I don't know why I feel like I have to start over again. What's wrong with me? Well, I mean, I have everything. I have a good life. I have a nice car and my son and everything. But that's when as I always have been since the beginning of my life, seeking more. Not from a standpoint of things, but I have a goal, son. I want to share with you. And I don't know if it's a goal or a way of being. I don't know how to describe it, but I want to do two things in my last breath on this earth. Two things. I want to teach dying with grace, and I want to say I'm glad I did, not I wish I had. And that's what I'm living my life right now. Is that all the beautiful things that I've done, as I said from the beginning of our conversation, I've lived a very full life in terms of the society's dues. Check, 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 check. And now I'm in a space of I want to experience the wind. I see the wind blowing outside my window. I want to go out and put my hand in it, and feel the humanity of my connection with spirit, with God, and with the air, without having to bend it. And that to me is priceless. And my wish for humanity is that everybody gets there at some point. I know that's not that won't happen, but that's my gift to the energy of life, is that people will get to a space where whatever it is they think they've hung on to for all their life that defines them, that they find out that that's not the truth, that there's more to this, and that's why this book, The Audacity of Courage, is like, wow. And I keep saying it's going to be my last book, but somehow something always pops up. I mean, and I can't sleep until I write it. Right. So, yeah, hope is real. That's all I've hung on to my whole life. That there's more. There's more. I used to say, well, in a room full of cow manure, there's got to be a room full of horse manure. There's got to be a horse in here somewhere. Didn't get here by itself. And that's the way I've always believed. And yeah, I'm just very grateful for you right now. I'm very grateful for this space that you've allowed me to step into for a little bit of my day, and get to.
I'm very, very grateful
with the brother that understands and is expanded in his own awareness.
Yeah, there's nothing like it. And when others connect with that resonance and they hold it. And how do you hold it? That's part of the ritual. That's part of the ritual. That's part of your remembrance, to hold that resonance that you and I embody on a breath by breath moment, is to remind people. And that comes in that form. And so when you're in this sort of place of polarizing duality, and someone like yourself or myself walks into a space, the resonance becomes very polarizing. So there's either people clamor to you or they report by you.
Right.
And there's no in between. There's no in between on that. And a lot of people are like, well, how is that even possible? It's just like, that's human condition. That's part of it. It's like, are you moving towards it or away from it? And the judgment is really part of the path of a human being, is to realize that you're just judging yourself. Less and less you step into that and have an opinion and believe that your opinion is the only one that matters in a conversation where there is a right or wrong. That's the part where, embodying and allowing and accepting and receiving the present moment is how that happens. That's why, communion, scripture, churches, they're so powerful. And that's where people feel so amazing. Start their new week by coming together. That's the power of it. And, I'm to my last breath, I'll always be supporting and offering that as a starting seed of realization. Start with a ritual of your own. Whether you find a scripture, you find a moment, you find a tree you want to sit under, and you take a second to be here right now. And that's where, you have this incredible opportunity, and you're in a place that is so potent. The energy is so powerful, and it's everywhere. It's just, can you remember? And that's the part. That's why people go to churches and temples. Like, people come to my temple and go, holy moly, I feel sedated. I walk in here and I just feel like I've had, 5 pina coladas, full body massage in 10 days in the Bahamas, because that's exactly that's the reality.
Right.
You lose sight of that and you detach yourself. And that's just the beginning. And remembering that is conversations like the one we're having. And I think it's really exciting too, and that you're finishing this book. And let's go over some of your social media access, how people can find you.
Sure.
And are you available for any sort of mentoring, or are you still sort of retired right now?
No, as a matter of fact, they can go. I have a couple of websites. My name, DanielGutierrez.com, where they can make an appointment with me. I talk to everybody. I think I did this the other day. Someone sent me a note, and they said, "Wow, I can't believe you're spending time with me." I said, "Well, why wouldn't I? But you're an author and you're this." And I said, "Oh, forget all that stuff. What can I help you with?" I really do enjoy connecting with people, so they can go to my website, and right there they can book time with me to chat. So it's DanielGutierrez.com, and I own a retreat center in the Andes. This is where I'm at now. I sit on 56,000 square meters of land, where I have rivers, and I have a eucalyptus forest, and right above me I have a tombs of a civilization that lived here 600 years ago on this property. Whoa. And it's so beautiful.
My friend.
Yeah, a lot. And people are always like, "Well, how do you live there?" I said, "They're good people." "Well, what do you mean they're good people?" I said, "They're good people. I respect them. It's fine. They're good. They protect. I'm not scared of anything. It's all good." But being in this energy here, so that's a little bit longer. Catalina Retreat Center, Peru.com. And you can check it out on my website and see this beautiful place I have here. People come here for retreat. They come here to relax. They write a book, whatever it is that they want to do, so that's what we're here for. And that's why I opened this. It's called Catalina because my mother's name was Catalina, and she passed away about 5-6 years ago. It's el Centro de Paz, Amor y Tranquilidad, which is the center of peace, love, and tranquility, which is what my mother was, and created a space so that you can find just that. The rest of it, it's up to you. So Facebook, you can find, there's a lot of Daniel Gutierrez, so I don't even know how to tell you how to find it. I think I gave you the link for that. Instagram, Motivator Dan. I love to connect. I am very, very active on social media, and partly because of what you said, Penny, a few conversations back, and that was about, how do we reach people that need to be reached, and whether we like it or not, that is the method of the madness, to connect with more people. And so I stay very connected through social media with people all over the world, and I enjoy it. And I guess maybe because I have time here too. When I was in the States, I didn't have so much time. Now I get up in the morning and I feel very connected with people around the world. And again, I can't thank you enough for have reached out to me. I don't know how you found me, but it was a beautiful thing.
Well, I'm very grateful for you. I'm going to put all your social media and everywhere to find you under this podcast. I'm going to have my students, disciples, 126ers, the subscribers go out and experience what Daniel is offering to help you remember who you are.
Thank you.
Really, really exciting. I'm going to close this incredible conversation out with one final question. What is your definition of spiritual consciousness?
Spiritual consciousness.
Yeah.
For me, awareness.
Yeah.
Awareness. That's it. I mean, because my intellect wants to put all these beautiful words together, and it's just awareness. Eyes open, ears open, heart open, aware.
Beautiful. I've done hundreds of these, and I've never had the same answer. Yeah, as it should be. As it should be.
As it should be.
That's in the eye. It's in the eyes of the beholder. That's what it comes.
That's right.
Well, thank you, my dear friend. Thank you for sharing your time with us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It was a great pleasure. I really look forward to building our friendship for the future.
You bet.
I want to thank you. I want to thank the universe for bringing you into my life. I want to thank the audience for sharing their time with us today. And I am your humble servant and Sifu, Taoist Master San Qing, and I'll see you in the next one, guys.